I'm of the impression that that on the individual level, people can change quite quickly. But the society as a whole, that in of itself, I mean, I guess there's the fractal thing coming in here as well. But I mean, society itself, it's a different organism to the self to the individual person, and and I think that that it would have to take an accumulation of loads of disparate individuals who are reaching that capitulation point and then converging and then communicating, and then they affect the larger society, and the larger society, you know, somehow reaches that
I think it's happening now. I think that's actually happening now.
yeah,
If you look at the broader global issues, and certainly we reference a lot of times Occupy as something that is newer to the scene of people coming together, in having in common, their main commonality is being angry together, basically. But they're starting to get tuned in to a socioeconomic factor there. I mean, the fact that they were talking about 99% versus 1%, even though it's not something we focus on in the movement because we don't do an us versus them kind of view, we would say we're all 100% impacted by our decisions. And yeah, I know what they mean, but I guess I would say for me, it's happening. I'm seeing things that I didn't think I would see in my lifetime start to bubble up. And I think it is a result of our activism. And I say, and when I say our activism, I'm just meaning anybody who is for positive change, maybe not even for a resource-based economy, but that are asking questions that weren't asked before, about people even in the mainstream media posing, do we really even need jobs anymore? Or, you know, where's technology taking us? Talking about technological unemployment, those kinds of things, I think are all adding to the mix of this cultural impact that we're going to witness. And I don't think we know when that tipping point is exactly. I think it'll start to become a little bit more self-evident that more people are waking up. But one thing I want to mention, and I was just talking about this last night too, that was encouraging to me is when people ask me, when do you think this is going to happen? You know, when do you think a resource-based economy would happen? And I have to say, it might. My expectation is that I don't even think it's going to happen in my lifetime. That's how open I am. That it doesn't. That I may never see it personally doesn't stop me from being a very vocal activist for this direction, because I just think, you know, I want to know that it's been put out there for future generations. That's satisfactory to me. But even within that, I like to sort of think that maybe I'm wrong in that, and I would love to be pleasantly surprised. I don't know if you're familiar with the author Chris Hedges, but he's involved in politics here. He was involved in the NDAA lawsuit here in the United States against the Obama administration for the sorry, he's
it's okay, all right.
He's an advocate for social change and has been writing about revolutions and movements globally, and has been an investigative journalist sort of in that sense. But I wanted to get to a story that I heard that he was relaying about his experience covering the political discourse around the Berlin Wall and the activists that were involved in the effort to bring down the Berlin Wall. And one of the things that was encouraging to hear him say was, he said, you know, even activists who are for their cause don't have a timeline of how much of the impact of their efforts is going to come into fruition, so to speak. He was talking to some of the prominent people involved in the efforts to bring the wall down, and he asked them, when do you think it would happen? And this was on some morning he did this interview, and their response was, we think it's still going to take a while. We think it's going to take about 10 years. Wow. And in fact, the wall came down at 4 p.m. that afternoon. So the interesting thing about that is I like to think, when I tell people that this may not happen in my lifetime, I like to think that I could be pleasantly surprised and just have so many, as you're talking about, the fractals, the microcosms of all of the cumulative effort of all of the movements going on right now, all of the people who are socially concerned, who are socially conscious, who are environmentally conscious, who are starting to think globally instead of just, in national boxes and things like that, that all of this might come together even quicker than we think. I like to think that.
Yeah, I
mean, I'm open to that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's one of the really profound realizations that I made is that, because people have asked me, how long will it take to transition into a resource-based economy? Will you personally benefit? Why are you doing it if this isn't going to happen in a lifetime? And I'm just like, well, think about it in terms of this, right? And normally it would be to someone who would be complaining about the system. And I say, do you realize one of the main factors that has contributed to you having something to complain about? It's the fact that every single generation before you has had the same apathetic attitude towards social change. History and progress was never made by the naysayers. History and progress was always achieved by people ignoring those apathetic attitudes like that.
Right.
And people would never have any rebuttal against that because we realize that what we're actually doing is really one of the highest callings. We're doing something not for ourselves, but really for every human being that is possibly substantially younger than us, and every other human being that will ever exist. I mean, I don't see any other action that is more of a higher calling and more compassionate than that. So doing something that will so profoundly benefit every single human being that will be born in the future,
Right.
And but considering that we're starting to run out of time, I just wanted to ask one more really cool question that I'd love to ask is reviewing your materials, a lot of the stuff that you've done. You're a very confident speaker. You almost always got a smile on your face. How would you say that you personally have been able to maintain this positive attitude? And if there's any pointers you can give to anyone listening who might be maybe faltering in their optimism?
I would say a lot of the reason why I'm able to smile and not even care what criticism might come my way as a result of what I do is because it is a bigger cause that I'm doing it for. It's not about me. So you can attack what I'm saying, but I don't feel personally attacked by it. I'm just passionately invested in getting the word out. And any chance I have to speak about it, I'm able to fulfill that and feel good in doing that. And a lot of that's because I also see the good things that come from that. But I don't do it to get praise, or I don't do it for, like, in any attempt to be liked, I guess I should say. My focus is very functional in that I know that this information needs to get out, and I want it to go out in a way that it would be received. So I think about communication strategy from that extent. But as far as winning approval from being an activist or putting myself out there, the audience that matters to me is a very small group of people that would be, proud of what I'm doing because they are for making the world a better place too. So naysayers don't get to me. I don't give them much thought. That they exist and that sometimes they're very vocal about even pointing me out personally just lets me know how much of an impact I have. Because if I don't care about something, I don't put any time toward it. And I know that if someone is going to critique me and they're going to take the effort to do so publicly and they're going to take a lot of time out of their day and maybe even watch a lot of my materials in order to get some really good things to say to rip me to pieces or whatever, then that really speaks to them that what I'm doing is so powerful that they had to say something about it. So I embrace that. Anytime you're doing something that sharing information that impacts people in a powerful way, you're going to have that polarity. You're going to have people that love it and identify with it, and you're going to have people that are very frightened by it. And I recognize that's just part of it.
Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this particular show. So I'd like to thank you again, Jen, for coming on. Just another announcement for the sponsor of this podcast. This podcast was brought to you by Brainwash, the brand spanking new moist towelette cleansing system for the human brain. So if you feel that you're starting to think critically and maybe need to suppress that a little bit because you know your brain might have got a bit gangly, make sure you book an appointment with your surgeon to get your brain washed, then you can go about your life. But that's unfortunately all from me. So I thank everyone out there who is listening for supporting this podcast. If you have any questions for future Q&A sessions, then by all means send them my way. I will be trying to endeavour to bring more Q&As if guest interviews start to drop off, because I'm definitely working my way up the pyramid now. But anyway, just before you go, Jen, is there any websites or relevant links that you'd like the audience to know about?
Well, we have the zeitgeistmovement.com, but I imagine they already know about that one. The Zeitgeist Media Festival is one you're going to want to check out. Yeah,
and since this podcast will be uploaded posthumously, I guess I can ask you, how was the media festival, Jen?
It was very memorable.
Cool. Right. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Jen. Thank you everyone for listening. As for the next show, I'm pleased to announce that Tyson Eberly will be returning to continue our discussion on being a TZM activist. And just for those of you watching on YouTube, you'll be able to catch another one of his dances hidden amongst all the audio. So I'll be looking forward to that. So it's a goodbye from me, and say goodbye, Jen.
Goodbye, Jen. Just kidding.